Americans love scenery. We want to see it all, from one coast to the next, Mount Rushmore down to the Everglades. So hop into a Chevy Malibu and take the scenic route. It's the car you knew America could build. There's a place where people count on friendships they can trace back generations, where they can count on the same stool at the coffee shop waiting for them every morning. This place is called Glen Ellen, and you can find it in every bottle of Glen Ellen wine. This is craft brewed Herman Joseph's, the smoothest, easiest drinking specialty beer in the entire solar system. And I believe you'll find drinkable in the dictionary right after don't order a beer you can't drink. Zoingo! Boingo! The freestyle pogo with more boing, more bounce. Bounce further, bounce higher with Zoingo Boingo. To see what makes Arrowhead Mountain Spring water different from those other waters, you have to go back to the source. And with Arrowhead, that means going back a little farther and longer than most. Between security challenged and security strengthened, there's one important word: how. And it is the how that makes all the difference to our nation and our world. Lockheed Martin. We never forget who we're working for. What makes Kraft Singles so good? 2 out of every 3 kids don't get the recommended amount of calcium. But with Kraft Singles, they get a good source of calcium and the taste they love. Kraft Singles. Magic every single time. Throw boring overboard with a new real meal from Long John Silver's. A meal worthy of a plate, just $4.99. Only at Long John Silver's. We may not all be geniuses, but we can all do something smart. Introducing the Hyundai 199 Sonata Lease. It's a smart deal on a really smart car.
I was supposed to be on the David Letterman show a couple months ago. It was the same night Madonna was on, and she went long, so I got bumped. But I got to eat cantaloupe backstage, so it was still cool. And it was already cut up. I didn't have to fuck with a knife. I got paid $900 to eat cantaloupe. That's fucking unprecedented. I rubbed that shit in my dad's face. I said, you never been paid that much to eat cantaloupe. You always got to do it for free.
Good morning. It's Monday, Moral Monday, October the 6th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, and moral politics. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Thank you. Now, the end of Maria, beginning of Varney and Company.
Amazing. And we're going to talk about this government shutdown tomorrow morning, Liz, when I talk with Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. That's going to be a big interview because we'll have him react to what happens tonight at 5:30 with that next Senate vote, Liz.
Meanwhile, Maria, October 6th begins a new Supreme Court season, and there are so many big issues between now and the end of this year coming before the court, including, by the way, tariffs and transgenders in the military and birthright citizenship and a whole slew of things. So this is going to be a year to watch in the Supreme Court.
All right. I love it. We'll talk all about that as well. Liz, great to see you. Kenny, thank you. Great to see you both. Appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow. Varney and Company picks it up now. Stu, take it away.
Hey, good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone. 6 days into the government shutdown, the president says it's the Democrats' fault. Advisor Kevin Hassett says the layoffs of government workers are about to begin. As for the market, it doesn't seem to care. Maybe it will care if the shutdown goes on for months. Right now, we have another rally. Look at that. Plenty of green on a Monday morning. Dow up 70, S&P up 18, but at NASDAQ, that's where the big gain is, up 200 points in advance of the opening bell. And here's part of the reason why. Advanced Micro Devices, absolutely soaring. It has teamed up with OpenAI to challenge NVIDIA's chip dominance. The stock is up, 35% at the moment, $58 per share. Have I got that right? Yeah, 35% up $58. The AI boom still has juice. Now look at Bitcoin. It hit $125,000 at one stage over the weekend. It's now $124,600. Another record for gold. It's closing in on $4,000 an ounce. Current quote, $3,958. Little change for interest rates. The 10-year Treasury yield, actually it's going up, 4.17 right there. And the 2-year, 3.61%. 10-year, 2-year, both rates up. Oil, $61 a barrel. So the average price for a gallon of regular gasoline is at $3.13 as of this morning. About half the country is paying $3 or less. Politics. The president celebrating financial success on Truth Social. He said, good news for the holiday season. Our country is an economic power again. Best of all worlds for the USA. Last night, a federal judge stopped President Trump's deployment of federal troops in Portland, Oregon. The judge says Trump doesn't have the authority. Homeland Security, not happy. Christian Noem says rioters have put a bounty on specific ICE agents. $2,000 to kidnap them, $10,000 to kill them. Shocking. Israel, Hamas, peace talks set to begin today in Egypt. Netanyahu has authorized an Israeli delegation to attend. An American delegation, including Steve Witkoff, will also be there. President Trump says, get this done quickly. Overseas, another French prime minister resigns. He'd only been in office a month. Legislators just can't agree on austerity measures. Stop laughing, Charlie Hurt. The French market is down 2%. We'll get to you later, young man. Japan appears very likely to elect its first female prime minister. She's said to be a hardline conservative who started out as a news anchor. The Nikkei stock average up 4%. And there's this too. The Navy celebrates its 250th birthday, celebrated over the weekend. The president was there, and so was the First Lady. Melania Trump wowed the crowd with her Booyah speech. Monday, October the 6th, 2025. Varney.
And that was Maria and Varney and Company. Nonprofit news now. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, Dr. Berg.
Hello, Dr. Berg here. Today we're going to talk about the most dangerous diseases that don't give you many symptoms. Now, if you take a hammer and hit your thumb and you have pain, that's going to be an immediate symptom, right? But a lot of other symptoms, which we're going to talk about, are way late on the chain of events. In fact, there are no symptoms for 10 to 20 years with high blood pressure. Type 2 diabetes takes 15 to 20 years before you start noticing major symptoms. Liver disease, in some cases, you could have 75% damage in your liver before you even get a symptom. Kidney disease, it's even more dramatic. You could literally run your whole body. I'm talking about filtering all your blood on one kidney. The body survives in just a small percentage of our organs. It's incredible. In fact, a lot of times it takes up to 90% of the damage before you start noticing significant symptoms of late-stage kidney disease. Now, what about atherosclerosis? This is plaquing in the arteries. You're not going to notice very many symptoms until 70% is blocked. There's so many people that go to the doctor and they find their arteries are really shut down, but they don't really have any symptom to know that that's happening. What about colon cancer? I know quite a few people who ended up with stage 4 without even having any symptom at all. And it's really mind-blowing is you go to the doctor to actually turn off your warning signs to get rid of your symptoms. They treat them directly. They don't look into root cause of these issues. They give you a medication to manage the symptoms so you don't feel them. And then a lot of people, when they actually get this later stage warning sign, is they either ignore it or they consider it a normal part of aging, normal fatigue, normal stiffness, normal high blood pressure. Because everyone is on a blood pressure medication, getting up throughout the night, urinating, normal belly fat, normal craving for sugar or frequent hunger. This next part is going to get really interesting. And then I'm going to go into 4 habits that can get at the root of a lot of these major problems that you might have. So let's get started and talk about what's really happening when we get type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure. There's actually a compensation going on. Part of your body doesn't have oxygen. The body is going to compensate by increasing the pressure to increase more volume of nutrition and oxygen to that part of the body. The best condition to talk about, to give you an example of that, is type 2 diabetes. Just take a look at this for a second. What is normal blood sugar? It should be about 80 milligrams per deciliter. 80 is 1 teaspoon of sugar for all of your blood. Explain something to me. The average person consumes way more than 1 teaspoon. But how could they possibly have normal blood sugar? There's a compensation going on. And that compensation is called insulin. Insulin acts as like a vacuum cleaner, and it sucks the sugar out as fast as you eat it, converting it to this thing right here for about 15 to 20 years until it becomes dysfunctional. And eventually it's going to become so toxic it could put holes in your arteries. So the body's going to raise insulin to clean all this sugar out to protect you. It's trying to help you. It pulls it out and it has to convert it into some storage as fat. Okay, so it goes into your belly, it goes into the organs, it goes into the liver. And this is going on for 15 to 20 years, okay? You're not going to notice too many symptoms other than belly fat, right? Maybe some fatigue, until one day your pancreas has had enough. And basically the cells in your pancreas start to get so tired they can't produce its insulin anymore. That's really what insulin resistance is. It's a total compensation for too much sugar that then leads to prediabetes and type 2 diabetes over time. Now let's go to liver for a second, because your liver is so robust. It's so tough. It can take a beating. You can literally remove 75% of your liver and grow back the rest in a relatively short period of time, within months. I mean, it's wild. I personally would not wait until you have a symptom with your liver or any other of these as well. Because if you wait until you get a stage 4 or 5 kidney disease and you need dialysis, chances are it's going to be really, really hard to recover from that. Especially when we deal with colon cancer, you might not notice too much until it's really kind of metastasized throughout the body. The best thing to do, again, is prevention. And I'm going to talk about 4 habits to keep you out of trouble. Let's shift down here to low vitamin D. This is not a disease, but it's a huge root cause to put you at risk for a lot of other problems, including cancer, including autoimmune, including cardiovascular disease. In fact, low vitamin D is one of the biggest root causes of high blood pressure. When you have enough vitamin D, you can increase this thing called nitric oxide, and it's really beneficial to keep your blood pressure in check. Vitamin D also helps you keep the insulin working so the insulin doesn't get burnt out. So if you have low vitamin D, then this time is shortened. This time is shorter. And this is why you should err on the side of a little bit more vitamin D than less vitamin D, just to make up for this problem right here called vitamin D resistance. Let's go into the 4 habits that I highly recommend that you hyper-focus in on so we can actually avoid and maybe even reverse some of these right here. The first one involves exercise. going for walks after you eat to burn off any sugar that you ate, which would be very, very smart. I want to add one thing to exercise that you maybe never heard before, which I think is going to be the next amazing thing. And it's called hypoxia training. Now, what is hypoxia? That's low oxygen. You can simulate exercising at a high altitude, like climbing a mountain. Like a lot of athletes do this type of training to increase their enhancement of their fitness and repair. When you go to sleep at night, if you had sleep apnea, you're probably not going to have sleep apnea. This little combination of exercise and hypoxia training could flood different tissues with more oxygen to get rid of inflammatory areas and push oxygen into parts of your body that you have never really felt in a long time. Number 2 is lowering carb with intermittent fasting. So now you're not going to be eating all day long. We're going to be doing like maybe 2 meals or 1 meal a day with low carb. That combination will take insulin resistance to the point where all the things that were connected to it start improving overnight. Number 3, get an additional 30 to 60 more minutes of sleep. Everything works so much better by getting sufficient sleep. But guess what? Number 1, that exercise with the hypoxia training will give you so much oxygen, it's going to help you sleep. Reducing the carbs and doing intermittent fasting will actually also help you sleep as well. And then number 4, being outside in the sun, in nature, walking through the woods is such an important therapy, because if you just contrast that to being inside all day and not going outside, you will feel a dramatic difference. Over 50% of the sun's rays are infrared, which is so therapeutic to build melatonin and help you sleep at night. Those are the 4 new habits I would highly recommend. They're the most important for reducing diseases and symptoms. Now let's talk about how to create your health with intermittent fasting and doing a low-carb diet. For that, you need to watch this video right now. Check it out.
And that was Dr. Berg on YouTube. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo.
Welcome back. I'm back with Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt. Senator, before we went to break, we talked about the FBI. Real quick, do you agree with Devin Nunes that this is a conspiracy? Are more charges coming, and are more people going to be charged?
Okay, so there you go. She asks for an opinion. Instead of asking, what she should have asked is it true? Is it right? Is it correct that there's a conspiracy afoot? Because that's what we need to know. We as viewers, we as voters need to know. Is there a conspiracy afoot? And if so, who's involved, etc. But just asking a mere opinion, I couldn't care less. So especially the senator is not even my senator. So what do I care about his opinion? Thank you. And now, motivation.
Most winning is not beautiful. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's a grind. When you're making history, it very rarely feels like it. What it feels like is work. What it feels like is lonely. What it feels like is you're the only one doing it. But what you need to know is that when you're laying those bricks every day and the person that you're competing against is laying them every third day, it's the person who can do it over and over and over again that separates themselves. And what I discovered was that you don't have to be born in a certain neighborhood. You don't have to have a certain socioeconomic status. It only takes one thing to get what you see other people have that you want, and it's called effort.
Our world is full of soft-ass freaking people. You can't be one of those. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a tough day. Hey, I look for tough shit. I was thankful for that. Matter of fact, at the end of a test day, a hard fucking day for me, I'm like, thank you. I feel a euphoric moment getting through a test day. Every day, I want you to find hard stuff to do intentionally, because that's how mental toughness is created.
Make today the fucking day that you stop choosing the easy path. You stop chasing the instant gratification. From now on, you choose the path that'll make you stronger, that'll make you better. E.T., how you get in the NFL? How you get in corporate? How you get in the NBA? I started being consistent. I started going to class every day. I started going there early. I started doing all my homework. I became committed to myself. I became consistent. You will have to work for every single thing you get. And you got to work every single day. If you're going to get your personal freedom, you got to go get it. You got to go earn it. The dream is real, but the lifestyle is realer.
Greatness comes from doing mundane shit that average people can't keep doing. It's not all fucking sexy and fired up, but staying consistent, doing the shit you need to do over and over and over and over.
Easy doesn't pay well. And the only motherfuckers that win long term are the ones who are willing to do the shit they need to do when they don't feel like fucking doing it. Discipline is a skill. Grit is a skill. Fortitude is a skill. These are things that you can develop. How do you develop discipline? By doing hard shit over and over and over again. You don't want to get up today? You get your ass up anyway. You don't want to make your bed today? You make your fucking bed right now. You don't want to deal with that paperwork? You go fucking deal with it now. You make yourself get it done with no hesitation, because what it does is it forces you through doing stuff that is going to be very uncomfortable for a long enough period of time that you start to understand how to execute when things are not ideal, when it's highly inconvenient.
Every time you push through, you will get tougher. You build strength, not just physical strength, mental strength. And every time you put forth effort, your will, your discipline becomes stronger. And every time you quit, your will and your discipline gets weaker. You cannot allow that.
Anticipate the fire. Anticipate the difficulty. Anticipate that it's going to suck. You have to teach your mind to honor the struggle. Every day you're discouraged. Instead of saying, well, I guess I quit, I suck, this is no good, it's never going to happen, you have to take control of the self-talk and honor the struggle. And literally tell your mind how to deal with the process. Tell your mind, no, this process, this hardship, this struggle, it's part of conditioning me to be ready for the dream, to succeed. This part of the struggle that I hate right now, it's developing character, it's making me force it, it's helping me challenge, it's making me grow. Because if you can survive this, if you can rise from this, you can crush anything. If you deal with this difficulty, suckness now, you will have intellectual, physical confidence for life.
What do you do on the days that you are not inspired? Do you have the habits and rituals and disciplines, the guts, the grit to step up and do the things that you know you need to do all the time, not some of the time? And when you stack up those all the times, those are the inches that you fight for that separate the greats from the average.
Life's not gonna get easier. It's gonna get harder. It's gonna get tougher. So you gotta get harder and you gotta get tougher. And if you can execute on a plan that you set out for yourself, regardless of what happens, you cannot be stopped.
And that was a little bit of motivation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now a little bit of meditation.
Welcome, dear soul. Right now, you've arrived in a space of peace, a space to return home to yourself. Today, we'll gently activate your vagus nerve, bringing calm to your body, your mind, your heart. No effort is needed, just your breath, just your presence. Let's begin. Take a deep, slow breath in through your nose and gently exhale out of your mouth. Again, inhale slowly And exhale longer this time. Let the breath soften your body. As you breathe, feel your shoulders melt downward. Feel your jaw release. Feel your belly soften and expand with each inhale. Let your exhale be gentle, natural, easy. Now, gently hum on your next exhale, like this. Feel the vibration in your throat. That's your vagus nerve saying hello. Again, inhale deeply and exhale with a soft hum. One more time. Breathe in fully and hum softly as you breathe out. Let the vibration soothe you. Now imagine a gentle golden light moving from your throat down to your heart. With each breath, this light flows downward, softening tension, calming your chest. This light is your inner peace. It's always here, beneath the noise, beneath the worry. Breathe that light into your whole body now. You are safe. You are supported. Repeat gently in your mind, I am safe here. I am connected to calm. My body knows how to relax. My nervous system is healing with every breath. Now, take a slow, deep inhale and a long, steady exhale. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Feel the peace you've created. Feel the strength in your calm. Thank you for sharing this moment. You've just given your body the gift of healing.
And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. A little Victor Davis Hanson and commentary.
Did you notice that of all the controversial Trump nominees, the left went after Pete Hegseth the most vehemently? There was a reason for that. He is proposing radical changes in the Pentagon. What we have now is more or less a monopoly. We have Raytheon, we have the Boston Military Group, we have Northrop, we have General Dynamics, we have Lockheed. And the way it has worked is that 4-star generals rotate out, they work for these consortia, and then they use their contacts of subordinate officers to favor for their procurement. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it's an inherent conflict of interest. And Pete Hegseth is going to stop that.
Okay, so there he goes. He contradicts himself. Why? Because he's scared. If you want to do something, only one thing to be a true conservative, quit running scared. He contradicted himself. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's a conflict of interest. Conflicts of interest are wrong. Conflict of interest is the essence of corruption. And corruption is wrong. But he's scared. He wants to qualify everything so that he has plausible deniability. Oh, I didn't say that. If you're too fucking scared to speak properly, shut the fuck up. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now for the Democrats. Let's see here. From a Nick Sorter's account, actually, it says, breaking, DHS has deployed Blackhawks over the ICE facility in Portland as rioters get tear gassed and pepperballed by agents. So, again, here are rank and file, and he's showing a video of rank and file Democrats, DSA types getting tear gassed and pepperballed. They're on the front lines. They're taking the hits. They're suffering. And where are their leaders? Where are the people that sent them into the streets? They're at home in their den with a glass of wine, watching it on TV. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, Jimmy Failla.
I'm Jimmy Failla, and this is Fox News Saturday Night. Come on, hop in. Thank you so much for coming out. Times Square just has such a great energy this time of year because it's fall, it's less crowded, the weather's cooler. Plus, the drug dealers are selling pumpkin spice crack. It's amazing how it changes the vibe at a town. Like, one day this whole town smells like weed and pee. The next thing you know, it's Halloween at Hunter Biden's house. It's amazing. It's amazing. What a vibe. What a vibe. Just such a nice vibe. But welcome to Fox News Saturday Night. We got a great show, but you got to bear with me because I'm pretty sure I'm still drunk from watching the Yankees beat the Red Sox Thursday night. And thank God they won. If they lost, I would have been turning tricks behind the stadium to pay my rent, all the money I bet on the game. But Boston didn't score a single run the entire game, but their fans will admit it was nice to see something get shut down besides the government. So that's... Oh, you guys. So silly, Jimmy. And I know for the people in Massachusetts, losing the Red Sox is hard if you live in Massachusetts, but at least you've still got the Indians. Yeah, you can make fun of Elizabeth Warren this week because she ain't stressed out by a government shutdown. As long as she keeps getting those stock tips from Nancy Pelosi, she is good, you know? But as for the rest of the country, this was a tough week because stress really ages people. And it's not just the federal workers going through it. Take a look at my producer, Max, when we first started covering the shutdown on Monday. Look at Max. There's our guy, right? Here he is in the green room a minute before I went on. Look at this. This is nuts. This is nuts. Nuts. It's nuts. Stop. That's not Max. That's Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, obviously. I am kidding, but tell me Chuck Schumer and Mr. Burns weren't separated at birth. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? They're even doing the finger thing right there. That's crazy. The only real difference is that there is an episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns accidentally starts a fire with his propane tank, whereas if you remember, Chuck Schumer is still figuring out how to light his grill. Do you remember this with the raw burgers? The raw burgers, not good. Yeah, he may not be able to get a fire going, but even CNN thinks Chuck Schumer started the shutdown. Watch this.
Every Republican who's gone on TV the last 12 hours or so has called this the Schumer shutdown. What do you say about that name? Senator Schumer, can you hear me?
I can't hear.
You hear that? He goes, I can't hear. Boy, that's a convenient excuse, huh? He sounds like me when Jenny calls to ask about the Hooters charges on my credit card. Can't hear. I gotta call you back, babe. Gotta call you back. But I don't want to get bogged down fighting over the shutdown because there are, as you know, there are serious implications to this. Like when our government stops funding all of its regular financial commitments, that means some poor kid's going to wake up in Iraq tomorrow and he's not going to be able to watch an episode of Gay Sesame Street. I mean, come on. It's a real thing we pay for, folks. You don't want to know what Bert and Ernie are doing with that rubber ducky. I will hope. Yeah. Yeah, the good news, rubber ducky, is you're the one. The bad news is you're the one. You're the one. But seriously, there are global healthcare implications to this. Do you remember when we found out that Doge was giving $50 million for condoms in Gaza? Like, that sounds like a waste of money to you. But if we don't send condoms to the guys in Hamas, millions of goats could get pregnant. I mean, think about that. Yeah, turns out Hamas runs a heavy petting zoo. But all jokes aside, Republicans claim that Democrats want to give health care to illegal immigrants. Democrats claim they're never, ever said that even once. Wouldn't it be great if politics had instant replay and you could go back and look at the tape and run the review? Let's try it right now. See how it goes, okay? So the call on the field was that Democrats claim they never said they wanted to give health care to illegal immigrants. Republicans are challenging the play. Take a look.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
Upon further review, Democrats are full of And again, I am a comedian. I don't want to get in a fight over health care. I didn't even have health care back when I was a cab driver. Yo, when I started here at Fox, they make you fill out that form where you list your primary care physician, okay? I had to tell them mine was a guy by the name of Dr. Google, okay? And for some reason, Dr. Google treats every symptom with porn. I don't know why. He's like, runny nose, porn, whoa. But every single Democrat on that stage raised their hands to say, yes, I would give free health care to illegals. Although in Joe Biden's defense, he was only raising his hand because he wanted to go to the bathroom. As for the guy in charge now, President Trump spent the week, like all presidents do in a time of government crisis, posting memes of Hakeem Jeffries in a sombrero. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to rally the country. Now, the truth is we can't even show you the AI videos because there are strict legal guidelines for using artificial intelligence on a news channel, which is frustrating for me because when I started out in showbiz, I was hoping to work at a comedy channel, but CNN wasn't hiring. And stop it. But since we're talking about health care, we did have a positive breakthrough at the White House this week where President Trump got Pfizer to lower the cost of prescription drugs for the first time in history. This is real. Watch.
In addition, Pfizer is agreeing to provide some of their most popular current medications to all consumers at heavily discounted prices of anywhere between 50 and even 100%. And that's off the price. And in some cases, even more than that, these drugs will be available for direct purchase online at a website operated by the federal government. We're also announcing that moving forward, all new medications introduced by Pfizer to the American market will be sold at the reduced most favored nation cost.
So dig that. Drugs a lot cheaper. Now, a lot of people heard that and were like, wow, how the hell did he get a pharmaceutical company to lower its drug prices? They've never done that. Well, apparently Tom Homan told Pfizer what happens to drug dealers we don't like. What an insane time to be alive, by the way. Like, I'm sure we've always blown up drug boats here and there, but I never expected to watch one after an ad for the new Chevy Silverado, you know? Apparently it's sinking the competition. I don't know what to tell you. But the one thing I keep coming back to is, God, there is so much cocaine in the ocean right now. Like, you know what's crazy? When Al Pacino's making a Scarface sequel called Scarfish, you know? But it's bad. Like, do you know how horny the ocean life is right now? And Discovery just announced that Shark Week is changing its name to Shark Wank. Don't applaud that. Apparently those horny male sharks couldn't find Dory. So they're like, I guess they're going to do an old-fashioned selfie. Stick with me. Of course, the biggest health news of the week comes courtesy of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who announced the military is doing away with all of the woke policies put into place by the Biden administration. Watch this.
No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that.
Great stuff, but can we acknowledge that the history books are going to be so confusing 50 years from now, you know? Because if a dude showed up in a dress under Trump, he got put on leave. But if a dude showed up in a dress under Biden, he got put in charge. Yeah. That's bananas, right? For 245 years, America wanted a military that could save Private Ryan. Then Biden showed up and shaved Private Ryan and threw him in a miniskirt. I know. Didn't exactly scare the enemies, you know? But Hegseth says the changes are necessary because in the future, our margin of victory could be razor thin.
No more beardos.
I know. Didn't exactly scare the enemies, you know? But Hegseth says the changes are necessary because in the future, our margin of victory could be razor thin.
No more beardos. The era of rampant and ridiculous shaving profiles is done. Simply put, if you do not meet the male-level physical standards for combat positions, cannot pass a PT test, or don't want to shave and look professional, it's time for a new position or a new profession.
Whoa. Now, here's the thing. Okay, some of you clap, but it's controversial, though, because, you know, there are religious groups who wear beards, and obviously there are soldiers who have medical conditions that require them to grow beards. Plus, Tim Walz will have to quit the National Guard because many people consider his wife to be a beard. And, so silly, but stick with me. The biggest news of the week from Hegseth is that he wants everybody in the military to get in shape. Take a look.
If the Secretary of War can do regular, hard PT, so can every member of our joint force. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world.
It reminds me of Full Metal Jacket. A jelly donut, you know? Now, I am with Pete on this one. No soldier wants to get led into battle by Captain Crunch. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not here to judge anybody's physical fitness because I look like a male stripper who let himself go. You know what I'm saying? You don't need Magic Mike when you got Jiggly Jim. You know what I'm saying? But I have to laugh, though, because the women of the View, they did not understand why Hegseth wanted our soldiers to be in shape, which is insane to me. But you have to take everything the View says about armed conflict seriously, because anybody who watches the show wants to shoot themselves at the end. Watch this. Just check it out.
Why is he obsessed with fat?
Yeah, and fitness. He said he was going to return to the highest male standard for combat positions because the troops were fat. I don't understand how that was supposed to be an uplifting message for our military.
He was referring to Colonel Sanders.
Oh, now Joy brings up Colonel Sanders from Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is ironic because it's been about 50 years since any man offered her his drumstick. But that's why her and Whoopi are such good friends. Anytime they order chicken, Joy wants a drumstick. Whoopi likes the breasts. Hey, Jimmy's got lesbian chicken jokes. Come on. Get over to Fox, honey. They're doing lesbian chicken night on Fox. Another proud moment for the channel. But hello, of course you want your soldiers to be in shape. Their job is to kill people in war. Like, if you're going to open a strip club, you want the girls to be attractive because their job is to turn guys on. That is the physical profile of the job. I used to tell tourists this in my taxi all the time. You can always tell how hot the girls are at a strip club by how dim the lights are when you walk in, okay? If it's bright in there, it's because the girls are gorgeous. They want you to see all these beautiful biological women. But if you go into one of those clubs where it's so dark you can't see an inch in front of your face, chances are there's going to be several inches in front of your face. Yeah, long story short, if you're ever visiting New York, don't go to a strip club down in the Village called Suspicious Packages. Not good. But for my money, the dumbest quote of the week did not come from the women on The View. It came from a guest on the show. I just want you to see this exchange.
He's attacking you as a communist, are you?
No, I'm a democratic socialist.
Okay, so that's Zoran Mamdani saying I'm not a communist, I'm a democratic socialist, which is like saying, I don't do cocaine, I just like the smell of it, you know? Like, what? Who are you trying to fool, player? Every single communist government in the history of this planet started under the guise of socialism. So telling us you're just a democratic socialist is the political equivalent of a guy offering a girl a back massage, okay? You know how that works? The guy starts out with the innocent massage. 2 minutes in, he's like, I know what you need. You know? That's how it works. 2 minutes into democratic socialism, the government's like, I know what you need. A bread line, you know? But Mamdani was all over the TV this week. He was everywhere on TV. He even ran a campaign commercial during the Golden Bachelor. I just want you to watch this quick.
New York, will you accept this rose?
Now, yeah, I know, right? I'm with you. I'm with you. All right, I'll put you down as a maybe on Mamdani. Sounds like you're still on the fence. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but the Golden Bachelor is the senior citizen edition of the show. So it's actually confusing to offer someone a rose because half the girls there are named Rose, you know? Although you got to give the Golden Bachelor credit for one thing. Their marriages have a much higher success rate because, you know, when you're 82, till death do us part isn't as long. As for Mamdani, he officially got married to the liberal media this week, and they announced it on the cover of Vanity Fair. So that's what it says. The legend of Zoran. Is this man the future of politics in America? Now, I know a lot of people watching hate the idea of Zoran Mamdani being the future of politics in America. But before you get too nervous, let's not forget the last guy that Vanity Fair said was the future of politics in America was this dude right here. That's Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke, who had all the media hype in the world and still managed to lose a Senate bid and a governor's bid. Although if you go down to South America, it looks like he won because that's where we ship all the campaign T-shirts from the losing candidates. Yeah, America's never had a female president, but the citizens of Venezuela think we've had two, actually. They're like, wow, they're so progressive up there. Yeah, President Hillary and President Kamala all over town in Venezuela. It's like a bizarro alternative universe down there. Although it's still better than the time the people of North Korea were told that this was our first black president. Folks, we got a wild one coming up with Kennedy, Madison Allworth, Aaron Berg, and Steve Burns, so don't go anywhere. It's about to get nuts.
And that was Jimmy Failla. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now to the Republicans and would-be conservatives out there from a post on X by Military Arms. Civil war with violent Marxists is brewing. They're using terrorist tactics now. Arm up, train up, keep that powder dry. It's getting crazy out there. At some point, we normal folks may have to take the trash out. I pray that doesn't happen, but we can't live with this violence. Okay, so people want to get likes, they want to get clicks, and that's the motivation for over-describing or overreacting to what's going on. If there is rules here, the number one rule is don't overreact. You don't want to underreact either, but you definitely don't want to overreact. You don't overreact by assessing the situation properly. Where's this civil war apparently happening? Only in soft cities. That's it. Portland and Chicago. That's it. They've got troops in Memphis, and they've got, they're going to be sending, as a matter of fact, I think there are troops in Chicago, and pretty soon there will be in Portland as soon as the president is able to get the block lifted. He shouldn't pay any attention to it because, again, the courts don't supervise the executive branch. The courts do not supervise. They don't get to say what it is that the executive branch gets to do or not do. They can come out and say, in our opinion, this is unconstitutional. But they have no authority to put a stay or a block on the federal government, and that's in the Constitution. But anyways, you want to respond, react appropriately, assess the situation, what's going on. It's going on in, you got some rioting that's going on. None of these people so far that are getting tear gassed and paint have weapons. None of these people have brought firearms. So that you can't classify this as a civil war. None of them have brought firearms. So, so again, don't overreact. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now the first half of Chapter 18 from Moral Politics, How Liberals and Conservatives Think.
Chapter 18. Pathologies, Stereotypes, and Distortions. We saw in the last chapter that there are many variations on the central models of liberalism and conservatism. Not all those variations are welcome to adherents of the central models. Some variations are seen as pathological. I will use the term pathological for a variation on a central model that subverts the purposes of the central model. Here is an example. I observed in Chapter 16 that conservative vigilantism, in which anti-government or anti-liberal violence can be seen as moral action, is a form of conservatism that differs in three ways, all matters of degree, from mainline conservatism. But just because it is a variant on conservatism does not mean that mainline conservatives like it or find it moral. Indeed, most mainline conservatives work within the law and do not condone breaking the law. To those conservatives, conservative vigilantism is pathological. Breaking the law, or preparing for military action against the duly elected government, even in the name of conservative values, violates the conservative principle of obedience to duly constituted authority. Those conservatives disown conservative vigilantes, seeing them as thugs or lunatics. It is important to look carefully at such pathological variations of a central model, variations that subvert the goals of the central moral systems of both liberals and conservatives. It is important, first, simply to be aware of ideological pathologies. Whether you are a conservative or a liberal, you have a responsibility to your moral values. It's important to know when your ideological neighbors are subverting them. There is a second reason to be aware of pathological variations. The reason is that there is an underhanded practice in politics, as well as in other domains, of what I will call pathological stereotyping. To see what a pathological stereotype is, let us recall what a stereotype is. A social stereotype is a model, widespread in a culture, for making snap judgments without reflective thought, about an entire category, by virtue of suggesting that the stereotype is the typical case. A pathological stereotype is the use of a pathological variant of a central model to serve as a stereotype for the whole category, and hence to suggest that the pathological variant is typical. Both liberals and conservatives tend to stereotype each other in terms of pathological variations. For example, liberals sometimes stereotype conservatives as fascists, while conservatives stereotype liberals as bleeding hearts or as permissive. For the sake of fair public discourse, it is important to know just when one side is stereotyping the other in terms of pathological variants, and just how those variants differ from the central models. Pathological variants of the family models. Let us begin with pathological variants of the nurturant parent and strict father family models. Being a parent is a complex balancing act. If you're a strict parent, you have to balance punishment and reward. You have to set down rules that are strict enough but not too strict. You have to punish severely enough but not too severely. You have to be nurturant, but not too nurturant. The nurturant parent has a similar problem of balance. Nurturing a child requires not just feeding, clothing, and interacting with the child. It also requires guiding the child gradually through loving and respectful interaction to act nurturantly, responsibly, and respectfully toward the rest of the family and the community. It means developing mutually empathetic ways of interacting so that the child can sense what you want and need. It means communicating expectations and communicating approval and disapproval explicitly as well as in subtle but effective ways. If all you do is satisfy the child's needs and desires and none of the rest, you're not being nurturant. You're spoiling the child. The problem is that your interactions with the child go one way only. You respond to his needs and desires, and he doesn't respond to yours. Another variant of one-way interaction is where you simply tell the child what to do and punish him if he doesn't do it. What is wrong is that you are not nurturing the child, not teaching empathy so that he will know how to behave responsibly in new situations, where empathy, not strict rules, is the guide to appropriate behavior. If you just give and enforce orders, you are not contributing to trust and responsible interdependence. Spoiling and obedience training are two sides of the same coin. Both are instances of the same pathology. Let us call this the pathology of insufficiently nurturant interaction. This pathology is defined with respect to the nurturance model, and so we will call it a nurturance-centered pathology, so that we can keep track of the model in which it is pathological. The strict father model has a corresponding but very different pathology. According to the strict father model, the way to avoid spoiling a child is to set strict rules and enforce them. You spoil a child by setting insufficiently strict rules, or by punishing him insufficiently for breaking the rules. From the perspective of the strict father model, what is going wrong is that the parent is being too permissive. Let us call this the pathology of permissiveness. Since this pathology is defined with respect to the strictness model, let us call it a strictness-centered pathology. Since pathologies are defined relative to particular models, they are worldview dependent. The concept of permissiveness only makes sense from the worldview of the strict father model, where the job of the parent is to command obedience and enforce it. Correspondingly, the concept of insufficiently nurturant interaction is defined relative to the nurturant parent model. Because their worldviews are different, each parent would be inherently critical of the other. A strict parent, being appropriately strict from his point of view, would be insufficiently nurturant from the nurturant parent's viewpoint. A nurturant parent, being appropriately nurturant, would be permissive from the strict parent's viewpoint. However, there are certain things they agree on. A child should not be spoiled. That is, just have his needs and desires satisfied. A child needs to grow up to be responsible, self-disciplined, and self-reliant. That is, there is an agreement on certain ends, on certain things that count as successes and failures, though there are radical disagreements about the means and about what is to blame for failures and what is to get credit for success. Possible overlaps. The strict parent and nurturant parent see each other's central models as pathological from their own perspectives. Does this mean that it is impossible to find cases where the values of both models coincide? Cases which neither side would find pathological? Such cases are possible, and here is one. Suppose the nurturant parent gently, but explicitly, communicates expectations and gently but effectively expresses approval or disapproval. The expectations communicated could work like rules laid down, and the disapproval would function as punishment. Similarly, the strict parent might engage in nurturant interaction and set the rules gently and clearly in that context, and his punishment might amount to effective expression of disapproval. In such a case, one might barely be able to tell one from the other from their behavior, though their logics, their priorities, and their moral impulses would be very different. Such a near overlap would be quite a stretch for a truly strict parent. It is clearly a non-central case of the strict parent model. Such an overlap could not be maintained indefinitely. Suppose the child challenged the authority of the parent. The strict parent's response is clear. You re-establish authority through discipline, typically corporal punishment, say with a paddle or a thin stick or a belt. Not enough to injure the child, but enough to inflict sufficient pain to make him behave. This would be a nurturance-centered pathology. The nurturant parent's response is very different. You re-establish authority through nurturant communication, in which the parent's ultimate responsibilities are made clear, but in which the issues get talked out honestly and thoroughly on both sides, and accommodations, if appropriate, are sought. This would be a strictness-centered pathology. Here, each parent's response is seen as pathological by the other. Model internal pathologies. In the above cases, each central model looks pathological to the other. But there is another kind of pathology, where a variant of one's own model seems pathological to you. For example, in the case just discussed, spoiling a child, satisfying its needs and desires and doing nothing else, is seen as an insufficiently nurturant one-way interaction. There is a variant of the nurturance model in which the parent, in the name of nurturance, doesn't really nurture the child but just spoils him. This is pathological from the point of view of the central nurturance model. That is, it is a nurturance-centered pathology. It is, of course, also pathological from the point of view of strictness, a strictness-centered pathology as well. Another case would be that of an abusive strict parent, one who followed the strict father model, except that in administering punishment he really harmed his children. A normal advocate of the strict father model would find this variant of his own model pathological. It is a strictness-centered pathology. Of course, it is also a nurturance-centered pathology. Distortions or justified stereotyping. At this point, we can see some common forms of distortion. Let us consider parallel cases. A nurturant parent stereotypes the strict parent as abusive, suggesting falsely that abuse is characteristic of the central strict father model. But the abusive strict parent is just as pathological to the central strict parent as to the nurturant parent. A strict parent stereotypes the nurturant parent as spoiling, suggesting falsely that spoiling is characteristic of the central nurturant parent model. But the spoiling parent is just as pathological to the central nurturant parent as to the strict parent. These are clear cases of pathological stereotyping. They are distortions, and such distortions are extremely common, not just in liberal and conservative discourse, but throughout our culture. There is, however, a perspective from which these are not distortions. The argument that these are not distortions goes as follows. The central models are ideal models, in that they define what an ideal parent would do.
And that was first half of Chapter 18 from Moral Politics, How Liberals and Conservatives Think, by Dr. George Lakoff. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that moral relativism is immoral.